Hey everyone, Brett here from LearnWorld's Customer Success. In today's session, we'll be focusing on the LearnWorld Site Builder. It's a built-in feature that allows for the creation of dynamic and engaging websites without any prior knowledge of web development. A good website should act as your school's storefront, drawing in new users, generating leads, and increasing enrollment in your courses. Let's take a close look at how the LearnWorld Site Builder can help you start designing your website in just a few clicks. Okay, so let's begin by navigating over here to the left, the admin menu here. And I'm going to go ahead and select Site Builder. So this is going to actually open up, as you can see, a variety of different options for us to choose from, including the Edit School Site button, which is right here at the top. Let's go ahead and start with our sign in and sign up forms. So here's where you can actually come to actually modify how your sign in and sign up forms are going to look. So you can make changes to the actual template, either choosing one with a more opaque background, or there are some options here with some transparency, and then a couple other options with some images that can be added. You can see that they are displayed over here on the left, and you can upload an image directly from your library or from your device. Just to go in line with that, we're going to move down here to the site settings and select Sign In, Sign Up. You can see here, this is actually where you can come to modify and enable or disable access to your login. If you ever need to disable that, you can set this up so only your admins can actually log into your site. You can also set up your sign-up process here. So can anyone sign up, or perhaps they have to go through a one-click sales funnel, or maybe they need to add their user. You're going to add your users manually, and you don't want anyone to be able to sign up. You can also modify which social logins can be used on your form, and what fields are going to be available on your sign-up form. So anything you click here can be added and even made as a requirement. If you don't see a field here that you want to use, you can actually add additional fields by clicking here and just adding that. You can make that an active status and make it required if you'd like, and then click Add. And you can see that actually adds it to the form. You can also display your terms and conditions by choosing this here, and you can make that required, that they have to read your terms and conditions before they can move on. Okay, so now that we have the sign-up form set, let's go to our logo and our favicon. So this is a really easy way for you to set your logo up that's going to be displayed within specific areas of your school, and your favicon, which is actually this little icon that appears up here in the tab. Once you have those set and uploaded, you should be good to go. The next setting we see here is the blog setup. So here's where you can actually enable or disable your blog. You can edit the blog homepage. So if you click this button, it will actually take you into the site editor for your particular blog page. And then you can actually set up your blog name and description here. And then if you need to, you can copy the URL for any RSS feed that you want to include your blog in. Custom code will allow users to actually do some custom coding on the pages, and you can see it opens up the coder down here at the bottom. You can go switch between the site code and the page custom code and make your modifications here. Site Flavors is actually a really cool feature that is available on LearnWorlds, and what this actually does is allows you to either create a brand new or even clone a copy of your site. So this will allow you to edit these sites in the background while your main site remains active. So you can actually create a different flavor of your regular site. So where this might come in handy, if we say, take the 4th of July, for instance, in the States. The colors are red, white, and blue. There's a lot of fireworks. There's promotions and things like that. Maybe you want to clone your page and create a red, white, and blue version of it with fireworks and promotions and different images than you normally would use. You could actually clone it, create it for the 4th of July, activate that on the 4th, and then when the 4th is over, you could go back and activate your old site. So this just allows you to make modifications to your site while your users cannot see them. You could build a brand new site if you wanted to from scratch and launch the new site whenever you want to launch it. But it's a way for you to create different flavors of the site that will be displayed when it is activated. Next we have Domain under the site settings. Domain actually allows you to modify the URL that is used for your school. Now if you're part of the Learning Center or above plan, you can actually come in here and set up a CNAME.
can see there's some directions here to get that started. But once you have your CNAME set up and you've acquired the domain, you can come here, enter it in, and verify it with our support team. Within 48 hours, our support team will actually make changes to your URL, so you can actually drop the .learnworlds.com and have your own URL for your school. And then lastly, we have navigation. So the navigation piece actually allows you to set up how your users are going to navigate your site. So this first area will allow you to set your home page. So the first page that users see when they come to your site. It could be your default home page, which is what we see out here on the right, or you can select from a different page within your school. Same goes with the after login page. The after login page is actually the page that is displayed to your users after they log into your school. So this is generally the page that would include their profile, the courses that they're enrolled in, some easy access material, and really anything else that you want to include on that page. But this is the first page those users are taken to after they sign into your school. You can also choose a specific course for them to get directed to instead, or even another page within the school that you want them to go to instead. And then lastly, you can lock unenrolled users. So this will actually lock anyone that is not enrolled in one of your courses from navigating your site. And you can send them to specific pages if you'd like, but you can set that up from here. All right, so now that we've gone through some of the settings down here, let's jump back into the Theme Explorer. And I saved this for last because this is really the first place in my mind. Once you have all your settings configured, this is the first place you should go before you start designing your school. The Theme Explorer is essentially the command center for the design of your school. The changes you make here won't just affect the page you see here on the right, but every page within your school. And this, you can see you can change the colors and typography and buttons and even the layouts of your sections from here. So this first tab is almost like standing in front of a mirror. It just allows you, and changing clothes essentially, it just allows you to try out some different color schemes that have been pre-made. Maybe you find one you like, maybe you find one that you just want to start building off of, and even some font combinations that have been put together for you. So you can just kind of go through these and see if there's anything that you prefer or maybe something you want to use for your site. But it's essentially, like I said, just trying on different clothes and seeing what works together. You can also change the layout, size of the layouts over here on the right. So these sections, you can choose the size of those layouts. So I could actually probably come down here and condense those. I could make them bigger if I wanted to, or just the normal layout. But it's just going to allow me to kind of play around with my site and see what I like and don't like. The Colors tab is going to allow me to actually select and customize the colors I'm going to use on my site. So there's a couple colors you can choose from. You have your brand colors. That's a primary with a couple of accents, and your background colors as well, and then your text colors. And you can actually choose whether light or dark text will appear on that specific color when you use it out here in one of your sections as a background. So you can make those modifications if you'd like. Selecting one of these colors will actually open up the color palette, and you can use these sliders here to actually choose the color that you want. So you can make the modifications and choose the color that you'd like, or you can use any of the palette colors down here, or even a hexa or RGBA code if you have a code available. But you'll notice once I make a selection here, that color is actually going to show up in my color scheme. And you can see if I come over here and make a change here, it's modifying my color scheme. So what exactly is the color scheme? And the color scheme is actually all the different colors that you select here. So each one of these represents one of those circles within your color scheme. And this is actually what I highly recommend you stay within when you are modifying things out here and changing colors. I highly recommend you stay and you design your school within your color scheme. And the reasons behind that. First of all, you don't want to have 10 different shades of purple across your site on different pages. The reason for the Theme Explorer is to help you keep things consistent across from page to page on your website, and so everything doesn't have a different color and a different feel for your user. These are the colors that you've selected for your brand. These are the colors that your users are going to recognize when they come to your site. They're going to associate this with your school. So you want to make sure you're using those colors as much as you possibly can when you're designing your site. The typography tab allows you to select the font families you're going to use for your site. Now, in typography, the phrase less is more comes to mind. It's actually highly recommended that you stay within 2 font families when you're designing a website. So what we've actually done is given you the ability to add font family for your headings and a font family for your main text. You can add additional fonts if you'd like by selecting here or here and choosing fonts from our nice long list of font types here. You see there's a lot to go through and a lot to choose. Perhaps you even have a font that you want to use that you don't see. You can actually upload that file here and use that font. So if there's a font you're using along with your brand and you'd like to reuse it, you could possibly take that route. Now, the other things I can modify from this particular menu are the text types and even the text sizes that I want to use when I'm working out here. So I can modify, I can make these bigger or smaller, and I can even come in here to a much larger list. You can see there's some of the normal text in here as well. There's heading text, the normal text that I would use for the body, but I can make modifications to the sizes here, and I'll show you what this actually allows. So when I'm out here on the site, if I select any type of text that I'm working with, I can choose from the fonts that I've selected within the Theme Explorer, and I can choose the couple different font types that I configured in their size. So I could choose a heading 2, heading 1, and these are all the sizes that were configured within that Theme Explorer. Now I can also modify the size here by selecting this. So back in the Theme Explorer, any modifications to the sizes here will be made out here as well. So again, this is so that when I am working with text out here, it will remain consistent no matter what page I'm on, because I'm still selecting from the same text types and sizes. The Buttons and Inputs tab will allow me to configure my large, normal, and small buttons and inputs. So here's where I can actually come to set up how my buttons are going to appear on my page. So that means that I can modify the font size here. I can adjust the padding if I want to make them more, fatter. Even the padding on the right, and even the border radius. So this will actually allow me to, if I drop this closer to 0, it's going to make things more squared versus, when you go to 100, it's going to make it more of a rounded button. So I can make those changes here. I can select more properties and actually change the font size or the fonts that I'm going to use on that particular button. Even the font weight and text transform can be modified here as well. And then lastly, we have our Layout tab. This is going to allow you to modify the section size of the particular sections that you're using out here. So when you're selecting a section out here, you can choose whether it's going to be a large, normal, small, or extra large section. And here's where you can actually modify those so that when you do select an extra large section, it's going to be the size you configured from within the Theme Explorer. Again, the Theme Explorer is here to help you keep things consistent from page to page and to make the designing of your school easier. So this is why I actually recommend you come here first before you actually enter the page builder. All right, I'm actually going to jump back here just because I want to show you how this is accessed from the menu before I start actually doing work out here. So you can see if I click on Edit School Site, it's going to bring me right into the site editor, and it's got me on my landing page right now, or my home page. You can see. This is the first page that my users will come to when they first come to my school. It is my main site page. And you can see there's a couple different pieces that make up a page in LearnWorlds. We have our top bars here. We have the sections here in between. And of course, we have a nice footer down here at the bottom. So I can make modifications to any of these. The top bar, the sections, the footer. I can delete things and move things around to build the pages that I'd like. Now, just a couple different things up here at the top that you should be aware of before we start building out here are things like the page menu, which will actually open the page properties for this particular page. So I can modify the page name, copy the URL slug, choose whether or not I want the top bar to show or not show. Same with the footer. And it can even categorize the page so that when I'm trying to track it later on, I know exactly what the category the page has been created in. And I can make this public in draft. This particular page is a system page, so I cannot make a draft. But if this was a page that I created, I could make it draft so that my users can't access it while I work on it. The other thing you should be aware of is the Design Center. So this is the Theme Explorer we were just in. It can easily be accessed from the top bar here as well. Here's where I can modify the site navigation that we saw earlier. And I can start, adding blog posts and things like that from my blog. This particular option will allow you to see your site based on the device. So maybe I want to see it from what it looks like on a tablet versus what it looks like on maybe a phone. I can make modifications here to make them fit these particular devices better. We also have at the top our page navigator. So this will allow you to select from the different pages in your school. And you can see they've been categorized. That showed you that they're in the page properties. You can actually categorize them so they're easier to track when you're in your page editor. If you click here, this is manage all pages. So these are all the pages you have in your school. The green indicates a public page while the red indicates a page that is in draft mode. I can delete pages from here, preview them, even edit them, or clone them. Again, the categories that we set up for those pages can be found here. Here are my course pages. And of course, if I go to my system pages here, I have things like the after login and my home page and my payment page. But once I have a page I want to work on, I can just kind of click onto it and start editing. So why don't we go ahead and actually take a look at some of the properties that can be accessed when you click on. So really, any type of element that you choose within LearnWorlds, whether it's a button, an image, or video, or even a background, will open a properties menu over here on the right. The properties menu will be made up of the main menu here, so the main menu for this particular section, and all the different options I have for that. An Actions tab, which will allow me to control visibility of that section based on users who are logged out or logged in. Even add an entrance animation. Or Layout, which will allow me to modify how this is going to look, whether I want to center that. Maybe I want to make the section, again, these are the section types we were choosing from. Perhaps I want to shrink this down or try and change the width, the padding, or the margin. Now again, any element that you see on this page has the same setup. Text, I have different options I can do with the text. I can select the text types and size, even the font family. I can choose actions. On-click action would allow me to choose if a user clicked that specific text, if it would take them to another part of my school or my site. Visibility, again, controlling whether a user who is logged in or logged out can see that specific element. And then the layout. Very similar, right? Really on any one of these. Video, same thing. I have my video options here, my actions, and my layout. Now, as I mentioned before, the page is really made up of top bars, sections, and the footer. So let's pop into the top bar real quick. I'm going to edit my top bar. And you can see I can actually choose whether or not a user can, or I can actually choose the top bar for users that are signed out and the top bar for users that are signed in. So I can make modifications to either one of those. I have a number of layouts that I can choose from by kind of navigating through here in this properties menu. You can see I can just kind of find one that I want to kind of continue with. I can choose whether or not that top bar is going to stick on scroll. So that means if I scroll down, this top bar will actually follow me down the page, whereas leaving it off will actually keep the top bar at the top of the page. I can change the background color of that top bar and even hide or show it on the mobile menu. So there's a couple different changes I can make here. You can see I can also do the layout as well. I can make that wider, full. I can change box shadow, padding, margin. Now, if I want to modify the actual navigation of my site, I'm just going to switch back into users that are logged in. I can just kind of click on the site navigator here, and you'll see it opens up the menu for the site navigation. Now, very easy to make changes here. I can easily modify the order of that just by dragging and dropping. You can see it makes that change there. I can add submenus. So perhaps if I wanted to add my courses into a drop-down list, I could do something like this. So now when I come over here, I have my Marketing 101 drop-down. And I can choose, by clicking this edit pencil here, I can actually choose an on-click action here. So again, here's how you actually link things within LearnWorlds to make navigation to different pages possible. So I could say this is going to take me to my courses page, for instance. I could have it open in a new window or the same window. I can even modify the appearance of that link. So if I wanted to make it big and purple, I can do that. Or I can just have the basic link that we see here. I can delete, and I can add additional to my menu as well. Any of these are clickable. I can make changes to those. I can add actions and layout. Again, visibility for users that are logged in and logged out. I can modify that in my navigation menu as well. So once I have my navigation top bar set up, I'm going to start looking at some of the sections I have here as well. So a page is really made up of that top bar and the sections here, and you can see each one of these sections is actually a section type. So if I click on one of these, there are different section types that have been added to my page, and I can actually modify the layout of these by hovering over here and choosing from a couple different templates for that particular section type. So if I just click, it's going to make modifications to that particular template. It's going to pick a template that I've selected here, and you can see it just straight up makes the change for me. Simple as just kind of clicking through the different templates that are available. Now I can always go back to the template I originally had. You can see here. And I'm just going to go through the property menu here now that we've actually, let's do this. So it's also easy to move a section up and down a page. So if I need to actually modify how a section is displayed within my page, maybe I want to drop this down. See, I just kind of click that arrow there, and I can do that here as well. I just kind of click here, and I can drop that further down the page, and so on and so on. So again, it's not hard to modify this. If I want to move it back up, move it back up to the top. Copy and paste. So this actually allows me to copy this particular section. I could go to another page. Let's just say the About page here. There we go. And if I wanted to, I could actually come here and paste. See, now I've pasted the section that I created earlier from one page to another. And of course, I can delete. Let's go back to that home page. We'll open up the section menu again, and we'll just run through some of these sections. So again, I can modify the template just by selecting different ones here, cycling through them. Every section is actually made up of columns. So you'll see this particular section that we're working on now actually has two columns here. There's a column here and a column here. Now, I can add additional columns to a section by clicking these plus icons. And I can modify the actual layout here by dragging and dropping these, so I can switch the column order. Each one of these sections, you can change the background. So if I want to add a nice color here, again, I could choose a color from my my color scheme here. Or I can even add an image to the background, as I've done here. Now you can see I currently have an overlay on, but if I had added an image here, it would be really hard to obviously read the text because the overlay is not there. Or even a video. If I wanted to add a video here, I could actually drop a video in. So there's a nice video that plays in the background. But again, very hard to see the text because I don't have that overlay. I can embed, and I can even do an SVG here as well. So very easy to modify the background there of a section. Let's go back to the image, and I'll actually add this overlay. So an overlay is a layer of color that can be added to an image or video within LearnWorlds. So again, you can choose from your color scheme. Just add a nice overlay here. I can increase or decrease the opacity. And then I can include dividers. So what is a divider? A divider is actually a nice little kind of image or form that you can add to the top or the bottom of a section. So there's nice little designs that can be added, actually create a little bit more of a flow on your site. You can see that I've added dividers throughout the sections here. Now, when it comes to adding a new section in LearnWorlds, very easy to do. I can just kind of click anywhere. You'll see there's an add section here, there's an add section here. So I can just drop them between the sections that I want. And when I click that, it's going to open up this nice large menu of section types to choose from. So this is everything from the hero sections that we saw at the top of the page to product sections that will display our courses. There's things like filters and search bars that can be used to display your courses within your school. We have media and text. You can even drop a payment page onto your in a section, or an FAQ, pricing tables, email grabbers or contact forms to collect information for leads. You can even embed code into those. And then you can include things like your affiliate registration if you wanted to. You can also build your own layouts. So if you click here, if you wanted to insert a section that was blank, based on the columns and how you want to set those up, you can just choose a column layout to start with. So very easy to add sections in LearnWorlds. The other thing that might be of an interest is actually how to add these elements. So again, all these templates are set up, but they are just templates, and they've all been created using the site editor. So you can actually build any of these really yourself. You don't have to use the templates that we gave you. Again, every one of these that I'm selecting here has already been kind of configured. But if I ever want to add an element to the page, there's this little plus sign that you can see under most of these elements here. This allows me to drop a widget in. So a widget is everything from the text that we configured earlier in the Theme Explorer to animations, to even buttons or columns, lists. You can choose from galleries if you want to set up a gallery, or images, even things like email grabbers or inputs, so that you can collect emails for particular newsletters. So like if you grab this, you could say, I want I want to create an email grabber here. I can edit my form and add a nice tag here, or even add a nice little after completion message here. I can even direct users that submit their email to a specific page. So not hard. Maybe I want to add a button here. So just show you how I can do that. I can add a button in. Obviously it's a little bit smaller than I'd like, so I can come over here and modify that button. I can change the way that looks. I can change the things that we set up earlier. So maybe I want to go large. Perhaps I even want to make this a full-length button. So I can modify the text. I can come down here and add an icon to that button if I wanted to. There's a lot of icons to choose from. Maybe just like a little, there you go, plus sign there, thumbs up. So it's not hard. If I want to modify the color or anything like that, I can just come here, modify the color, set this up so that it takes users to my sign-up form. Even with buttons too, you can actually add things like on-cover actions, which is actually going to allow me to choose a color here, and when a user highlights that, it's going to change color. Now I can add additional fonts if I wanted to add an additional font here. Just drop that in, start making my modifications. Again, maybe it's too big and I want to modify the size of that. I can drop that down to a small and modify the size. So it's not very hard to add things to your pages. Again, images, just kind of click and choose an image from my library or my device, or even grab a free image from Unsplash. Now these are royalty free, so you can just choose from any of these that you want to add to your page and just drop it into the page. See, I've now added that in here. I can modify an image after I've dropped it in here. I can modify the size. I can modify the visibility. So it's very similar to like a WordPress or anything like that when you're building your site. So again, this is we've made it as easy as possible. You don't need to know web design or web development or anything like that. You can really design these any way you want. Maybe I want to add a blank section here and kind of show you what that's like. Again, I can add a widget here. Maybe I want to throw a gallery here and drop a gallery in which I can start, modifying or start, adding some different images or videos in here. Now I can come over here and maybe add some text, like a header and some normal text. So you can see you can build these out really kind of easily. It's just a matter of getting everything where you want it. You can modify the background color here, maybe choose something from my. Even add that video or anything like that we talked about earlier. So it's very easy to drop elements really anywhere you want on the page. Again, if you wanted to add another column, add another column here. So you can copy the ones you have or add an empty one. But it's very easy to make the changes. And once you've made your changes, you would click Save. Oops, I reversed it there. So back to my home page. The last thing I want to show you really is how to modify that footer. You can come down here, obviously very similar to what we saw with the top bar. I click Edit. I can choose some different layouts and things like that. I can come down here and start adding list items. Go to each one of these and add an action so that it takes them to a correct spot on my page. Just jump into these player video here. So just the last thing I want to show you is just with videos. Obviously, I'm going to select a video from my library here. And I can hit OK. And then you can actually modify, autoplay. You can mute the sounds here. If you want the video to play on a loop, you can play it on a loop. And then you can add this thing called pop-up on click. So if I actually come over here and preview my page, see, I've got a pop-up on click here. If I click this, it's going to actually bring that up for the user. So there's my navigation that I've set up, my sections, my footer. So very easy to create a page, and then when I want, I can just jump to a new page and start editing that as well. So you can create these whole websites around your school. Keep them very dynamic. You can collect users' information, generate leads, and all without any knowledge of web development. So once you figure out where everything is, and it's really understanding that every element that you see here, including columns and sections and texts and images, they all have these three actions or three profile menus that you can choose from. And once you understand where everything is, it's very easy to create pages using LearnWorlds. So I hope that overview was helpful for you. I do appreciate you joining me on this session. If you do have any questions, feel free to email support@learnworlds.com. We'd love to help you out. We do have live demos as well throughout the week. So I do have a webinar on Mondays at, I think it's 12 p.m. Eastern Time on the Site Builder, and another overview one on Tuesdays. We even have courses on developing the course content and creating courses for your school. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the session, and I hope to see you soon.